So I've got my to-do list app. I've got my front end. I got my to-do lists, which is the back-end project. I've got to-do app. Here are my URLs. I'm going to get rid of some stuff because I started using REST framework, and I was like, I'm going to try to do this just like vanilla style. So I created a weird URL because my URLs should have been like API/users, whatever. So in here, I've got my initial URL lists. And then in my actual URLs, it's like list API list, followed by a list ID that gets all the lists. And then I can add a list by going to API list, new, and followed by the user ID, because I want to grab that user and associate it with a specific list by showing you right here. So I've got the list, just has a title and a user that belongs to the internal user model in Django. I've got some validation status for the task of whether if someone types in something other than complete or in progress. So I'm gonna ls npm cd into to-do list app ls python manage.py run server. Hopefully everything works. Oh no, JJ. Oh, yeah, I gotta go into my source VNV. I have to activate my virtual environment. Activate. Something's going on. Spelled something wrong. VNV activate. Then I can run the server. Hopefully, I haven't run this in a while. I'm going to open up another terminal, ls cd front end. I'm going into my front end, ls python or npm run or just npm start. Hopefully everything still works because I haven't started this app in a while. It's pretty basic. It's Carl Hungus, local storage .clear just to ensure it's initially cleared. It's really dirty right now. This. Did I delete everything? Oh, there we go. So yeah, I had some issues with that. So welcome back, TA Preet. I can create a new list. Groceries. And if I refresh it, it shows up right now. It's not 100% functional, but so when I create this list, let's go into the front end of my app to show you kind of what's going on. Front end source, I've got pages, home, sign up, user profile, I've got components, I've got lists, I've got to create a list. So I have a form. I don't necessarily know if I need this right, like this method post, but I have right now. Format document. So when I post this, I think this is all React strap. Yep. Create a form on submit. That's this part here. It's got a label, list name, input, placeholder groceries. It's got various stuff, button on submit. And then when I submit it, it comes over here, list API, create a new list. I grab the list object and I pass in the user ID. So create a list, comes here, event default, event title, event.target.list name value, which is extracting it from this input by name.value. So whatever I type in there comes into here. Got a list object, response, list API, create new list. I pass in the list object, and then the user ID, which is being passed down via props. Comes into here. It's my list API. Goes to this my Django route. That's not the correct way to do it. I was just trying to get stuff to work. Post. If I wanted to have authorization, like so only a specific user can post it, I would do like authorization, but I just wanted anybody to be able to post. So I pass in the user ID to that URL, and I pass in the JSON string object. So that's from the front end. Does anybody have any questions up until this point of how I'm submitting a new list? Nope. Can everyone hear me?
Tom, I have a quick question. So if you, like, let's say this were a bigger form than like one submit item and there was an error, how would this handle the error right now? Like, would it give you a 404, or does the built-in React strap have like a catch that alerts you?
So if you type in something that isn't, like if I type in something that's not in line with what it wants. Is that your question?
Yeah, I'm just asking if React Strap has like built-in like error handling.
I don't think it does. I think it just has these like this required parameter or key that you pass in. So if nothing is there, it'll just say like required. So if I like don't type in anything, it says please fill out this field.
Yeah, that's what I was asking, if it had the automatic catching.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
so
you didn't have to code that out yourself if it.
No, it just has this little key right here that says required. And
Okay.
that ensures that this input is actually required. So if nothing is input in there, it'll throw like they'll throw that little
Cool.
please fill out this field. So we have that, comes into here, create new list, goes to that URL. Now let's go to the back end to do, we have forms. We have this list form that just accepts the title. I'm not doing anything with REST framework or anything. I'm just models, list form, model form, meta, grabs the list model, and the only field I want is the title. So now let's go to our views. This is where it kind of gets, I gotta go to the URLs first. So it comes in here, list API, which one was it? Oh yeah, list API, list new, and I'm passing in the user ID in the URL, which not necessarily is best practice, but I just wanted to get it to work first. I could pass it into the object body of the request. So that's where the user ID is. It goes to this add list method in views. Create new list. So add list. You have the CSRF exempt token. So go to add list, takes in the request, takes in the user ID that's extrapolated from the URL. User, I find the user by its ID. And then this is where I assign JSON, or I assign a variable called data, json.load.request. I can print data to see what that looks like. And then it says if the request.method equals post, pass that data into the list form. And then if the form is valid, I do assign a variable called list to the form.save method, and I commit false. Usually in a lot of the curriculum, it's commit true. That means it automatically saves it, but I just want to commit it and not save it to the database. And then I want to add that user that I have to the list object for in the form, and then I can save it. Because before, there wouldn't be a user associated with this list when I save it. And then we can kind of see, and then I just do the basic user serializer list details. So we can kind of see what happens. Oh yeah, so let's do it again. List, what do we call it? Test list. No, I didn't get it to update. I didn't do like a hard refresh or anything, which I could do, or I can, but let's see what happens. Comes down here. So this data, this print data, this is that data object down here. So this JSON.load, the request, it extrapolates that data object that I'm passing in to the request. Comes in here, form, list form, passing in that object to list form is valid, save it to the user. Now I'm printing the list because I've already saved, I saved the list and then I print the list. And here it is. Oh wait, no, right here, sorry. It's a list object right here. And then I serialize it. And then I'm printing the serializer, which is just that new object. And now I'm passing that back to the front end, the status code 200. Ooh. Does anybody have any questions of how I did that?
Can I see your forms again?
Yep.
So.
And yeah.
So you're only giving it the title field?
Yes. So I'm not passing in the user at all. So if you go to my models. Yeah. So it's just the title I'm using for my form.
Oh, so because when you commit, so then later on, how would you want to connect? So like the commit false works because I think you have a foreign key to a user, right? But since you're not actually connecting that thing with a user, with that list with a user, it'll run through. But how would you want to connect like a user foreign key to it like right after?
Like this? Like what I'm doing here?
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
I'm literally adding another key to the list.user equals this user object.
Oh, because you did add, okay.
Yeah,
Great.
and then I'm saving the list because otherwise it would more than likely throw an error saying, hey, it needs this foreign key, it's required.
Oh, got it. Okay.
The hardest part for me was extracting the data right here. This JSON.load request.
Oh,
I was stuck on that for a long time. I think Chase, were you stuck on that part too?
There was a little bit of crying, but it was bad. It was at like 3 a.m.
Yeah. So that's how I got it to work. Any questions?
is anyone using the Django REST framework by chance?
And
I've got Django REST.
if the Django REST framework, if you like use it in all the URLs, like the Django router or the REST framework router, the default router and stuff, all this code is literally like 1/10 of what I just wrote, if not more.
Yeah, I have the REST framework for, I'm just doing a get right now, but it's like so short. It's like really easy to do. It's just like, if you just use the generic views on the REST framework, it's really easy.
2 lines. It's great.
How is it working when like you have nested routes though? I keep looking at that documentation. I'm just getting so lost in it.
So you can explicitly write your URLs. You don't have to follow the whole router part. You can kind of blend it together and it'll still work. It'll just build out your it does change it where you're not necessarily writing URLs to do the different things. It'll just change your methods on how you access that data. So rather than having a URL for new, you're just putting a put request to the same
route as you would your GET request. You can write out all your URLs explicitly if that makes it easier for you to like keep things straight.
Oh, so keep like the URLs page like the same how you've been doing it, but like in your views completely.
Yeah, so I didn't do the view sets, but there's a section on there called like just writing it in the class-based views, which is like here's what we're doing behind the scenes. And so you can rewrite it like that and kind of use their boilerplate. And then rather than using the full view set, you can cut out, half of it if you don't want it, or add in a couple other views. It made it a lot easier for me to understand rather than having like a lot of magic going on and kind of figuring out what they were doing to generate their routes. So yeah, since I was only doing like a simple CRUD functionality, I just wrote it out myself so I can have it straightforward.
Oh, cool. If you got any resources, post it on Slack.
All right. I'm going to stop.